With the White House already in turmoil, tonight, 5 people familiar with the discussions tell NBC News National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster may be on his way out as early as this month. Those sources say the ouster is being orchestrated by Chief of Staff John Kelly and Defense Secretary James Mattis. Tonight, White House spokesman Michael Anton dismissing the story, writing, "I was just with President Trump and H.R. McMaster in the Oval Office. President Trump said that the NBC News story is fake news and told McMaster that he is doing a great job."
He's a man of tremendous talent.
McMaster, an active duty 3-star general, was brought into the administration from the Pentagon a year ago to replace Michael Flynn, who has since pleaded guilty in the Russia investigation to lying to the FBI. It all comes as the president's inner circle is getting increasingly smaller. One of his closest advisors, Hope Hicks, announced her resignation yesterday. And tonight, new focus on Mr. Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. His top security clearance revoked last week. Now the New York Times reporting that Kushner's family business received loans after bank executives had meetings at the White House.
Jared's still a valued member of the administration, and he's going to continue to focus on the work that he's been doing, and we're going to continue pushing forward on that front as well.
Earlier today, Chief of Staff John Kelly poked fun at his own rocky tenure during a Homeland Security event, the agency he once led.
I miss every one of you every day. The last thing I wanted to do was walk away from one of the great honors of my life, being the Secretary of Homeland Security. But I did something wrong, and God punished me, I guess.
Partially driving the chaos, the ongoing Russia probe. And tonight, NBC News has learned that according to several current and former U.S. officials, Special Counsel Robert Mueller is preparing more charges against Russian nationals for meddling in the U.S. election.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.